Hi, everyone. It's me again, Tanya, with All Things Dazzle, and I hope you all are doing well this evening. I wanted to come on and just in an effort to continue to bring you new content. Um, Someone reached out to me from my Etsy page and asked me if I could modify one of my existing designs into something else. And so I said, well, that's a good way to show you guys how to take an existing design and rather than to recreate the wheel, to use what is already existing, add to it, and then have a new rhinestone template. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do for you guys tonight. Again, as you know, all of my videos are in real time as I work through the designs. And so you get to see my thought process and how I go about achieving the design as I go through the software, using all the various tools to help me get to that finished product. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to do it, but I'm going to record this video from the beginning to the end. I hope that you'll stick with me and hopefully you'll learn something. If you have learned anything from any of the videos that I currently have up on YouTube, or you are a current subscriber of mine, thank you very much. I really appreciate all of the comments. I try to read every single one and I try to respond to them accordingly. Again, I do this because I enjoy it, and I hope that what I share with you helps you along your rhinestone journey. If you'd like to participate in my school, I currently have a school, SKOOL. You may have heard of it, but I have a community there called the Rhinestone Syndicate Academy. And it's another place where I teach silhouette tips, tricks, other things related to rhinestones. And we just talk about all types of crafting there. So if you'd like to join, the link to the school will be in the description. It's free to join, and there's a lot of wealth of information that I drop there as well. And so with no to get things started, I'm going to go ahead and get things started. I'm going to go out and share my screen with you. And so here is the design that the young lady asked me to do. And just so that here is the message that I got today from my Etsy account that says, hello, can you create a daddy's girl like this? And I assume she meant one, like this one. And this is the design that is currently available in my Etsy for sale. And so this design was created. I'm going to get rid of that. This design, like I said, this font is not a font that I currently have on my computer. It was a generated, AI generated. And so when she asked, could I do Daddy's Girl, I had to think about how I was going to do that. And so I used ChatGPT and asked Chat to help me create the typography of this particular design. And so I'm going to go out and bring up the design that Chat made for me. Oh, that's not it. Hold on just a second. I think I saved it. Uh-oh, let me see. I don't think that one is it either, but let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here it is. Here is the image that Chat gave me. And as you can see, it looks very similar in the outline and the stroke of that girl. So I'm going to attempt to use this, even though it has some issues with it, I think that I can fix those. So I'm going to start with tracing this image, and the trace panel in Silhouette Studio. Again, I use Silhouette Studio, and I am using the Business Edition upgrade to the software. And the trace panel is the 1, 2, 3, 4th icon from the top of my screen, and the interface that I am using Silhouette Studio's version 5.0. And so again, the 4th icon down from the top is the trace panel. And I'm just going to go with the very first icon, which is the select trace area. Okay, so I'm going to click on select trace area, and then I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to draw a box. I'm just going to click and drag a box around all of the word daddies. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and let the software do what it does. And when it is finished with its trace, it will turn the areas of the trace yellow. Okay. Typically, the threshold, which is the standard 45%, is a decent trace. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the button here under the word advanced. I'm going to click the button that says trace. Okay, and then I'm going to move the image with the white background out of the way. Okay, I'm just going to move it over here out of the way. And what we're left with is the trace. Okay, I'm going to try to zoom in a little here, right, so that you can see it. Now, one of the things I like to do is, after I perform my trace, I like to just see whether or not the image is one that is suitable for me working with in the Rhinestone panel, and see how it will look if we were to turn this now vector graphic into a rhinestone design. So I'm going to go over here to the Rhinestone panel, and it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th icon from the bottom. It's the one here that looks like a rhinestone. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and it's going to open up the panel. And in that panel, we have several different things. We have the rhinestone effect. Okay. The very first one is no effect. Okay. If you hover over it, it usually will come up and say something when you hover over, but it's not doing it right the minute. But anyway, the first one is no effect. The second one is called the edge fill. Okay. And if we were to click on that, it will put rhinestones around the edge of the contours of the graphic. Okay. I'm going to turn the rhinestones into a color so that you can hopefully see it a little bit better. But this is what currently the edge fill looks like. It's this right now, it's on SS10 rhinestones. Okay. And the spacing between the holes is set for 39. Okay. I like to start with a spacing of 0.020. That's just my preference as a start. It gives me a little bit denser design, meaning that my stones are closer together. And then as I work the design, I may change the spacing depending on how it looks. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it at a spacing of 0.020. So again, this design is currently scaled out to 18 inches in width and 8.8 inches in height. That's not realistic, of course, for our design. So I am going to go ahead and just scale it in. Okay, so I'm going to, while it's already selected, I'm just going to grab this little box right here in the corner, the little white box, and I'm going to hold my shift key while I do that so that everything stays in proportion as I scale it down. Okay, so I'm just going to scale it down, and I need to get it fairly small to kind of see if I can get it to fit within the design. Okay, so this is still, let's just see. I'm just going to overlay this for a second. I got to get this, and maybe if I did, okay. All right, so we're gonna leave it here right now. This is about 6.6 inches in width. Maybe I'll just bring it down a little bit more. And I might just elongate it a little bit and see what we get. So we're at 6.1 inches in width and 3.448 inches in height currently. Okay. And that is again with the SS10 rhinestone. If I go to the next rhinestone effect, that one is my linear fill. Okay. And as you can see, the linear fill gives us a much cleaner look, although there are some missing stones here. It's possible if we drag it out, we might could get it to fill in. But this particular fill would require some manual editing to get it to look the way that we would want. And then the last one on the end is the radial fill, and the radial fill is the one that fills your design in with contour from the contours out. So based on what we currently have, it looks very similar to the edge fill because this is very narrow, not enough space for additional rhinestones to fit in the holes. Fit in that space that's left. So this is what we currently are left with. And as I look at this, like I said, it's going to require some cleanup, but that's okay. It is something that we can work with. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the effect off. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the rhinestone effect off. Okay, and just take it right back to the original graphic that we had because we have to make some edits to it. Okay. One of the first things that I'm going to do, okay, is if I'm going to, I'm going to turn this back around. Let me turn this color back to no color, okay? Because I want you to see what it is that I'm getting ready to do. When we perform the trace, okay, the outer stroke of the graphic, kind of had a little thickness to it. So when I performed the select area by trace and just did a normal trace, it tried to give me that same thickness. But what we have in fact here is we have an offset around the original part of the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to while it's selected, I'm going to right click and I'm going to click release compound path. And the reason I want to release the compound path is because I want to remove parts of this design that I don't think we need for what we're going to do. And so as you can see, there's a inner piece. Okay, so here's the inner piece. Okay. And the reason I didn't take the circles and stuff with it, but this was the inner piece, and then we have the outer piece. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna take that back for a minute. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna remove hopefully I'm gonna pick up the outer one this time. No, that's the inner again. Zoom in a little bit. And go back. Okay, and now I'm gonna zoom back in, and I'm gonna try and grab that back offset. Okay, and hopefully I have it. And to make sure that I do, I'm going to just give it a color. and I turned it yellow. So I know that this is just for me, for visual purposes, to make sure that I have grabbed the part of the design that I don't want. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to delete the other parts of the design that were, which are these inner pieces right here. So I'm going to get rid of the outer one. I'll just make sure I did, because I colored it yellow. Yep. And I'm going to delete that. And I'm just going to do that for the remaining parts of the design. Okay. So I'm going to zoom back out so that you can see. Okay. I need to do that same thing over here for the S and the part of the Y. Okay. And I'm going to move that over there. And let's do it over here. And this outer one. Oh, I think I got the inner one. I want the outer one. Okay. All right. Nope, not yet. One more thing over here. Okay. So now I have Daddy's Girl. And I'm thinking this S, I might have removed the wrong piece, because this is looking a lot thicker than the other letters here. So I'm going to go back. And I surely did. I removed the wrong one. So let's go ahead and do that again. All right, I think I got it right this time. Okay, so I think I got it right this time. So then the next thing that I see that I have an issue with this piece, the Daddy's Girl, is this little hook thing that got created when chat created it. Okay, and I don't want this, so I need to get rid of that. Okay, so I am going to, there are several ways that you can do this. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to take a box. Okay, I'm going to go over here on the left-hand side of my screen. I'm going to come over here to my drawing tools, and I'm just going to draw out a box. Okay, and I'm just going to draw a box. Okay, and you can give the box a color if you like, just so that you can see it. Okay, and I'm going to take this box and I'm going to come as close to the line. Let me zoom in so you can see. Okay, and I'm just going to take this box and I'm going to get it as close to and line it up as close as I can to the outline of this D. Okay, and I'm going to maybe rotate it just a little bit, just so that the edge of the box is on the edge of the line of the D. Okay, I'm going to turn off this outline that's red so that I can, on the box, turn that off for a minute. So that way I can see exactly where that red line is showing up on that D. Okay, because I want to put my box, and I'm going to scale it out a little bit so that it covers all of this portion that I'm trying to get rid of. Okay, so here it is. Here's that red line of that D. Here's that piece that I'm trying to remove. So I'm going to bring this as close to that as possible. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out so you can see. I'm going to click on the graphic. Okay, I'm going to hold the shift key on my keyboard. I'm going to press, I'm going to click the box that I created. So now I have a box around the box, and then I have another box around the graphic. And then I'm going to come over here to the transform panel. Excuse me, I'm going to come over here to the modify panel. Excuse me, the modify panel, and it is the one over here on the right-hand side of your screen that has a rectangle and a circle. I'm going to click on it. Okay, and I'm going to click subtract all, because I want to subtract away the box from what I have it connected to. So I'm going to click subtract all. And after I do that, I'm going to deselect. And when I move the box away, you can see that it has gotten rid of that piece of that was hanging on over there on the D. Okay, so that's one way that you can remove parts of a that you don't want from your graphic and close off the design, because we need the design to be closed off. We don't need any open areas in the design. Okay. We had a little issue over here on this S, right? It's got this kind of like this little curve in here. I'm not going to worry too much about that, because when I click on it and I go to the rhinestone panel and I turn on the effect, it does not affect what's happening with the design at this point. So I will save how you can make some edits to that in another tutorial. Okay. So, but for now, I'm going to go back. Okay, so we have our D. We no longer need this box. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And I'm going to zoom out and see what I've got here. So I'm going to just, oops, excuse me. I got this piece here. I need to reattach or create the compound path again, so that this part of the S, the hole, opens up in it. So I'm going to just, I can either click the inside piece and then click the outer part of the S. Now both pieces are selected. I can right click and create, and click make compound path. And now when I do that, now these two pieces are connected as one piece. So I'm going to kind of move that a little bit over, and I'm going to position this so that it's a little closer together. Let's see, I could even bring that over some more and weld it, but I think I'm just going to, for now, I'm just going to leave it about right here. And I'm going to take the whole thing and make it into a compound path so that it becomes all one object again. So now everything moves together, everything is grouped together. And I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go here to my existing design. So this was the existing rhinestone template design that I had created, okay, with the scatter pattern. But I had not yet released the rhinestones in this particular version, okay? So we can't use this scatter pattern because the scatter in this particular design is going around the word that and girl, and we're going to add the word daddy. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the scatter that I created. I had created 1, 2, 4 offsets around that girl in order to create that scatter. So I will show you how we'll do it again when we add daddy. Okay. So that we don't need, and we're left with the girl. Okay. Like I said, this has not yet been converted into rhinestone. So as you can see, I can just turn the rhinestone effect off, and I can still work with this graphic. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on. And I was using the radial fill pattern for this design. So I'm just going to bring it up here, and I'm going to figure out where can we position daddy in this design. Okay. Keeping in mind that we have the eye here and the rest of it. So let's see if we scale it out. Maybe let's see what happens if I can. Do we want to angle it? Oh, you know what? That might work. Okay. That just might work. Let's go ahead and give that a color so we can see what that looks like. Okay. I think I like that, guys. And let's just see if we go ahead and turn on the rhinestone panel. And let's look at the effects and see what we got going on. So if I turn on the edge fill, okay, this is what it's looking like. If we turn on the radial, the linear fill, okay, and then the radial fill, okay. So the radial fill again is like the one that I did before. This actually doesn't look very bad. And actually, this is looking pretty good as it currently stands. I'm going to turn off the outline so that I can see what it looks like a little bit better. And the only thing I think I'm going to go and do with this particular is just kind of clean this bottom section up a little bit. See if I can kind of do that. Other than that, it looks pretty good. It's looking pretty much exactly like the other one with the amount of spacing that's in between the text and the stroke here. So I don't think I'm going to have to do very much cleanup to that. So I'm pretty happy about that. Let's see if I scale it out just a little bit more, how that changes. Okay, I gotta zoom. Somehow I feel like Daddy's Girl needs to be again like the way the word that was. It needs to be smaller. Okay. And just for argument's sake, those are SS6s. They help to fill in the font just a little bit better. But this design was done in tens. So I'm going to keep it in tens. I'm gonna keep the tens. Maybe if I bring it down to 9, that's just a slightly smaller rhinestone hole. I think that hole size is 0.126. I have determined that I can cut that and that my rhinestones fall in just as well. So, and it doesn't affect the template any. So I may just go ahead and leave this at the 9. I may just leave this at the 9, but I'm going to go back because I'm just looking at some things. And so I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to, well, actually, I'm going to turn back on the rhinestone effect and I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a little bit with the nodes and see if I can just kind of clean this design up a little bit before I release the rhinestones, okay? So in order to do that, I have I have the design selected. As you can tell, I have a box around it. And I'm going to go ahead and double click, okay? And when I double click on the design, it brings up the point editing tool or panel, okay? And so you can see the nodes, okay? I'm going to try to zoom in, okay? And these little boxes that you see with the little lines connected to them, those are the nodes, okay? And that is the pattern that the rhinestones are currently following, right? They are following the pattern of the nodes. So we can, and the nodes come up after you trace your design. Uh-oh. I did something there. Okay. You get the nodes after you trace the design, because that's part of the vectoring of the graphic. But you can edit these, right? You can edit these and make changes, and depending on the changes that you make is going to change the shape of the design. So what I'd like to do here is I'm going to start with this part, Okay. And I'm just going to show you what happens if you start making changes. So I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard because they allow you to make smaller incremental changes. And so I'm going to I clicked on a node. Okay. And when I clicked on it, it turned red. Okay. And if I use my arrow key and I start pressing the down arrow, right? You see, if you can see, you see it is starting to move that part of the node, and it's changing the shape of that area. Okay. Um, I have found that, if you start moving nodes, sometimes you can delete when you have too many unnecessary ones. But if you start moving those nodes, you want to be careful that you move them in conjunction with surrounding nodes, right? Because if you move one node too much, it starts doing some, you see what happened? This was curved, but I kept adjusting the node and now it's kind of out of shape. And so if I move one node, I try to remember to move the surrounding nodes around it. So I'm just going to go back and do an undo. Okay. So I'm just going back to the beginning. Okay. So again, if we start adjusting the nose, like if I want to make this space a little less wide, so I want to make it a little more narrow just to get those stones to shift over a little bit, I can try moving the nodes and just pushing this out. Okay. So I'm just picking areas of the nodes and I'm using my left arrow key to just push those nodes outward. Okay. And as I do that, like I said, it is changing the shape of that interior part of the O, but it's leaving it in place where it was. Okay. So it didn't move it, but we can adjust the shape of it by editing these nodes, okay? And we can use our up arrow, we can use our arrow to the right, we can use our arrow to the left, and we can use the down arrow, okay? And sometimes if I can't get enough on one side, I can always come on the other side and adjust nodes on that side, okay? So I'm just showing you again, as I select on the different nodes, when you click on them and you make changes to them, how that changes the rhinestones. They move right now, they're currently moving in path with the nodes. Okay. And you can do this before you release, you have to do this before you release your rhinestones, so that you can, because after you release the rhinestones, then you only have individual nodes around your individual circles. Okay. Because again, like I said, we're working on the original graphic, but we're looking at it with the rhinestone panel turned on. Okay. So let's see. Now, this one had several nodes that were all going up in a line, and it just didn't necessarily need that many. So I deleted a few of them. And let's see if that makes editing this a little better. So I see, and it's left that little node. There's a little node right out here that's not moving with the rest of it. So I deleted it. Okay, I just deleted it. Okay, you see what I did? I deleted a bunch of nodes and it took away the little curved top. But I'm going to go ahead and put that back. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do my undo. I'm going to put that back because I want that to stay curved. And I am clicking on Let's see, maybe I need to click on, so I got, see, there's a hidden node right there. I think I got it this time. Okay, now I deleted that particular node. So hopefully now when I click on, okay, now it's shifting. So again, like I said, I'm just moving. I think if I get rid of this one, okay, so now do I get one nice long one? I think I have multiple in here. Oh, don't want to do that. So all right. I'm still learning this. So I'm hesitant to really teach it, or I'm not necessarily teaching it. I'm just kind of, again, like I said, I show you my process as I work through designs and what I do. And so this is one of the things that I've been playing around with, and it has really helped to really streamline some of my designs, get them to looking a lot more professional looking. But again, I'm still learning how to do this. So we are learning together. There probably is a better way. I just haven't figured it out yet, but this currently works. So we'll do what works. Okay. So I've just kind of made this space a little, not as wide. Okay. I'm gonna do the same thing over here on this side. There's a node right here. Mm-mm. Again, remember, sometimes if you move something up top, you need to find the corresponding node and move it as well so that everything kind of stays in line, um, which is possible. Okay, so I've done that. And then sometimes what'll happen is after I've gone in and I start editing the nodes. If there are other changes that I want to make to the design, I can do it when I go in to release the rhinestones. Okay, so I've done the D over here. I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna look at this A. Okay, see if editing any of these nodes makes the necessary changes that I'd like to see. Okay. Um, this is over in here. This dip I think is a little bit too low. And this is, let me go back. That's got some, maybe that's got a few nodes in there that we can get rid of so that, okay, okay. Might have, let's see. Let's scroll out. Okay. ADDYS. Okay. Let's go back in because I've made this one. Oh, what did I do here? Okay, see, I made this one a little bit more narrow. So I probably need to come in and make these a little bit more narrow. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to, again, I'm just going to play around with these nodes. Maybe this time I might try deleting a few, and maybe that will help a little bit. Let's see. So now I just have that one long line, which is so that when I make those changes and I bring it in, so I'm going to start there and then come down here to the bottom. Okay. So like I said, I brought in some of the top, then I brought in the bottom. I'm going to come back up here to the top again and just keep making those incremental changes so that I'm just kind of symmetrical on both sides. I deleted something I didn't want. Okay, so I think that one's starting to look like that. Let's see what else we got here. I don't know what I did down in here. You can also kind of use your, you can drag, the nodes. And like I said, but dragging them sometimes can really change the shape of them. So I tend to just use the arrow key just so that I make sure that I'm maintaining the the contours of the design itself before I release these rhinestones. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Not sure what's going on with this little rhinestone right here. So I'm going to shift that up. Got rid of that node. And I think I like that. I can always come in, like I said, and make some manual editing of some stones once I release the rhinestones. There's an anchor here. This is not a very good how this one is anchored, but sometimes you can pull on these little blue hinges right here and you can change the curve of something. I think here it is, it's starting to move. That's what those are for. Okay. See here in the Y, we got this stone right here. Well, before we get over here, let's see what we can do about this. See if we can get a little bit more space in there. Uh-oh. That is not. Let's see. And you have to be careful, like I said, this is all trial and error. You know, we're just playing around and seeing what happens when we do this. Sometimes editing the nodes is not what you need to do. May have to do something else. Sometimes just the manual uh, moving of the stones after you release them is the better way to go. But again, there are lots of tools here in Silhouette Studio that you can use that can help you in your editing process while you're making these designs. So it pays to practice and it pays to play around in the software to learn about all that it can do. Because some of these things may save you time as you're designing in the software. Okay. Like I said, I have been utilizing it more frequently than I ever had before. And so I have found it to be a very useful tool. Okay, so over in here, I deleted a node. And might just delete a few more in here. Break that out. And so this is so wide enough that it would allow another row of stones to fit in there. So again, the goal is I don't want I don't want any stones in there. So like I said, I want to narrow it. So again, I'm going to edit those nodes on this side and try to bring this line in a little closer. We got a bunch of little nodes right in here. And then I'm going to bring this over. Hmm. What is that doing over there? Let's see. Oh, let me I deleted a node. Let me put that back. Sometimes these curves are a little bit more tricky to work with, but just take our time and oh, let's see on this side. Again, I'm just going to delete some of these nodes that I don't think that I need so that I can just kind of mess with the one. So like I said, I brought it in at the top. I'm going to be, what I do at the top, I want to make sure I do at the bottom. If I can. I think I deleted one too many nodes right there because I took that curve out. And you can click on a line. You can add nodes if you think you need them in a certain spot. You just click and you can add a node. Okay. I scroll out and look at how that's turning out. Okay, that's not looking too bad. I got a few little areas right here. I want to clean up this part of the A, get rid of that excess stone, kind of go back in here and see if we can get this Y cleaned up a little bit. And let's go back and see what we got going on here with this S. Maybe I need to create, let's see if I create some space right there. Feel like we need to get a stone. Probably should have deleted some nodes in here because there's quite a few that may not be necessary. Okay. I wanted that little stone to pop up right there. So we got that. Uh-oh. Okay, so there's our S. And in here, uh-oh. All right, and let's see. I think, nope, that's not what I want to do. Okay, I think with the rest of this Y, I will make those edits, manually. So I'm going to zoom out so we can see what we got. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I'm going to turn off the effect for a minute. Okay, because I think my apostrophe maybe is a little bit too thick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click and I'm going to release the compound path for a minute. So that I can work with just this part of the apostrophe. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make an internal offset of it because I want to make it smaller and I don't necessarily want to drag the, like this. I mean, you could do that, but that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to, I have it selected. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to the offset panel. And the offset panel is this double star here. So for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 10th icon from the top is the offset. And I'm going to make an internal offset, meaning that I want rather than to have the go on the outside of what I have selected, I want it to go on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to click on internal offset. Okay, and I'm going to adjust my distance until it has given me the inside dimensions of this apostrophe. So right now that is at a distance of 0.035. I'm going to turn on the rhinestone effect right here, and I'm going to see if that made the changes that I wanted to see. And it did. Okay, I can move that away, and you see what I'm left with. Okay, when I make my manual edits, I might shift this stone up a little bit, and that'll be exactly what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and do undo just to put that back where it was. And I don't need the rhinestones just yet. So I can go ahead and click those off. Oh, it'd help if I clicked on the rhinestones. Okay, there we go. So now that I have all of that back the way that I want it, we can go back and I can select everything in the, well, I do it individually. I'm gonna, never mind. I'm gonna click all of that and I've just dragged the box, making sure that I have selected all of the word daddies. And I'm going to hold my shift key and make sure that I select my apostrophe. Now everything is all selected. I'm going to, oh, I didn't select the inside part of the S. So now it is selected. I'm going to right click and make it all a compound path again. Okay, so there's the word daddies. Okay, I'm going to turn off the effect for the word girl. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. So I've clicked on it and I'm going to turn off the rhinestones, because now what I want to do is I want to make the offset. Okay, so I want to make the scattered pattern around this. So I've got it all. I'm going to draw a box and select everything. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the offset panel. Okay, that's again the one with the double star. I'm going to click on it. And now I'm going to create an offset. Okay, so I want the outline to go around the outside of Daddy's Girl. Okay, so I'm going to click on offset. It's going to remember the last distance spacing that I used previously, and that was 3.5. But as you can see, that's really, really, really tight. Let me scroll back, zoom in the opposite direction. Okay, you see that's the distance of 3.5. Okay, I needed to go further out. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that offset, because as soon as you click on something else, it will take you off of the offset, and that wasn't the size that I wanted. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to drag a box around everything. I'm going to click offset. Okay. And I'm going to set my distance, and I'm probably going to go to 0.145. Okay. Mm, let's see, 1.45. Okay. I'm going to start with that one. And what I'm going to do is I like that. I like that amount of distance. I know that when I turn this into SS10 rhinestones, because my rhinestone hole is roughly 0.130, that I should have enough space between when I turn on the effect for Daddy's Girl and the outside part of the offset. So let's just, I'm going to go ahead and 145. I'm going to click on my rhinestone panel. I'm going to click on my edge fill, and I'm going to see what that looks like. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a color so you can see it as well. I'll just turn it yellow. Okay, and just to make sure that that particular offset is at the right amount of distance from the inside part of the design that is also going to be rhinestones, I'm going to just deselect. Okay, and I'm going to click on girl, go back to the rhinestone panel and turn on the radial fill effect and make sure that I have enough space. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Okay, so that I have enough space so my stones are sitting exactly on where they need to, right? There's enough distance. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit further. Okay, you see that there is enough distance between my inner stones and my outer stones. Okay. In some places, right, where the offset wasn't touching, we have right here where these stones are a little close. So we'll have to make some manual edits, or what I can do is make the offset just a little bit larger. And if I make it a little bit larger, it will probably fix that problem right there. But let me also just make sure when I go to Daddy's Girl and I turn that one in that I have enough space, and I do. Okay, so we're okay there. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to zoom back out. Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and make the offset just a little bit larger. Why? Because here apparently the offset wasn't touching, and I have some overlapping of stones here. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can let's see what happens if we make it just slightly bigger. So I'm going to just get rid of that offset, okay, and just drag it over here for a minute and turn that back off for a second. Well, actually, I can leave it on. Actually, leaving it on is the better, because this way, if I turn it on, okay, well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to turn it off. Let's go ahead and drag my box around all of Daddy's Girl. Let's click the offset panel, click offset. Again, remember the last offset distance spacing that we had. So we were at 1.45, and you see how the offset is not touching between the S and the L. Okay, so it's not touching there, and it wasn't touching here between the D and the O. Okay, we can fix that by doing a number of things. We can make the offset larger. Okay, so if I increase the distance so that those are touching, okay, then when I create the offset, it'll clean up that space, but then there might be too much space around my letters that I don't want, because I want that first offset to be kind of tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cancel out of this, okay, and I'm going to just move Daddy's Girl a little closer. Okay, I'm going to bring it in a little more. Okay, so that when I create the offset this time, and I may just make my O, this dot here, just a little larger. Let me just make sure when I do that, how that looks. Okay, so just wanted to make sure my O still look, the dot over my I still look good. All right, let's try it again. I'm going to drag a box around everything. Go back to the offset panel, click offset. And remember, I went above the 145, so it remembered the last one, but the 220 is too much. So I'm going to bring it back down. I'm going to bring it back down to the 145. And hopefully I'm creating that overlap that I want. Not quite. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. 140, 145. It may not here at the S, but that might be okay. So let's see what happens. We're going to go ahead and click the rhinestone panel, click on our edge fill, and it did. Yay. I always love it when it all works itself out. Okay, so there's my offset. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see how we now go in and we create the scatter. Okay, so we've got our first offset nice and tight around the text. So now that my offset is selected, I am going to go back to the offset panel, and I'm going to click on offset again. Okay, and this time I'm going to leave my offset, my rhinestone effect turned on, because I want to see how my rhinestones are spaced out and whether or not I need to increase the amount of space around the offset. So I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to do it again. Okay, so I've got my offset selected. I'm going to click offset, and my distance is the same as it was before, that 0.145. That's going to put my holes right on top of the first offset. But I think I want there to be just a little bit more space in there. So I'm going to go ahead and increase that offset a little bit. Okay, so I increased mine to 0.175. Let's see, I'm at 1.80. Maybe I'll leave it here at 1.80. And I'm going to make another offset. Okay. And I'm going to leave these future, and I'm going to make one more. Okay. Because the other design had 4 offsets. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one with, actually the other one I think had a total of 4. And this one may have 5. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that last one. Let's see. How many offsets did we have? Did I delete those? I think I might have deleted them. Okay. Let me, that's 4. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll add it back. We'll go ahead and add another one. I'm going to have to make it 5, right? Because at that gives me a total design width currently of 10.899, which is a little large, but again, it's a scattered pattern, so it's gonna, be on the outer parts of the shirt, so it may not matter as much. So let's just see how this looks. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna select all of the all of the offsets that I just made, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn them into a color. Just make them all yellow so you can see them. Okay, and how we create the scatter is we have to create distance spacing between the holes. Okay, so my very first scatter that I created, okay, the very first offset that I created, I'll open up the rhinestone panel. Okay, and you can see that that one is at a distance of 0.020, right? That's the distance that I told you I liked at the very beginning for my stones. So I'm going to now try to click on the second offset, okay? And I'm going to change the spacing, okay? I'm going to start by clicking the up arrow. And when I click the up arrow, it's going to take me to a spacing of 0.125. Okay, so I'm going to click the up arrow, and you see how when I click that up arrow, it changed the spacing. Okay. So now I'm going to just I'm going to try to click the next offset, and I'm going to click the up arrow again, but this time I can leave it at 125. Okay. Or I can increase it to 250. Okay. And if I go and I click the last offset, okay, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to go back to the spacing. I'm going to click my arrow key. Okay, that's 125. And now you can start seeing how that scattered pattern is starting to emerge. If I click and make it 250, okay, you see how that did? If I go up one more and make it 375, you can see how the ends of the scatter are starting to spray out. Okay, so I think I like this one as it is. I like the way the little edges are turning in different directions. They're not all straight in one direction. And I think I like that. So I'm going to leave it at that. So again, the very first offset that I did was a spacing of 0 to 0. The next one that I did a spacing of 0.125. The one after that, I just increased it by another 125. So that made that spacing 0.250. And for the last one, I just again increased it by 125. So that made the spacing for the last offset at 0.375. You can adjust these numbers to your preference and your liking. You depending on what you're working on, you may have to play around with the numbers. You can go in, you can highlight and type in what you want, and you just keep playing around with it until you get the pattern that you like. Okay. But I like this one, so I'm going to leave it there. Okay, so my scatter is done. Okay, so my scatter is done. Let's just turn this backing black for a moment, because things always look better on a black background, in my opinion. And look how that looks. That looks amazing. That looks amazing. Okay, so let's just see now. Let's go ahead and look at the Daddy's Girl. Let's go ahead and turn the rhinestone effect on for it. Okay, I'm going to make sure to bring my spacing back down to the 0 to 0. Okay, and I said I was going to use the radial fill. Okay, so there's Daddy's Girl, all nice and filled in. Okay, and let's see what girl looks like in the radial fill. Okay, so I do have a few things that I want to, let's see. Um, no, I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna do some manual editing of this design once I release the rhinestones. Um, although, mm, do. This is a lot of space in between here. And so this probably needs to get cleaned up a little bit, in all honesty. In all honesty. Or it actually looks like it's kind of following the spacing that's already currently in here. I just have to get rid of this little one rhinestone. I could do that. Maybe that's what I'll do. Yep, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So with that being said, I think I'm all done. I like how that's looking. And so I'm going to start with releasing the rhinestones. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my page back to a more neutral color so that hopefully you can see what I'm doing as I make these changes. So I'm going to go ahead and start with girl. I'm at again. Let's see if I make these tens. Just make them tens. So let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna release the rhinestone. So currently in the word girl, we have 975 stones. You can see that right down here at the bottom under where it says total shapes, total for selected shapes. I have this, just the girl selected. Okay. If I wanted to know how much the entire design had, I could highlight, I know there's more than 1129. 200, 225, 31 plus 11, 29. I don't think so. Let me see. Oh, it's also accounting for this over here. We don't want that. And we don't need this. So I'm gonna make sure I don't have anything else. I don't need that. All right. So this design has a total of, why is this saying, oh, I know why. Because there's some stones in here that I have that are, showing up as SS9s, but as a total of the nines are showing 1688, the tens are showing 975. So this design has close to, what is that, 27, maybe 2800 stones. Okay, 2800 stones almost. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right. All right, so now here's where the fun part comes. In the cleanup. Clean up, clean up. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to release the rhinestones. Okay. So I'm going to here and before I do that, I just play around with the spacing a little bit. Let's just see if I make it tight, if I make it tighter, how much more these stones might fill in. So right now I'm at 18. I know that with my cutter, I can go down as far as probably 13, which really does bring it in. But because I also sell my templates, I try not to make them too tight. For those that may have a cutting machine that cannot cut as precise. So I won't do 13. 15, not too bad. I could zoom in and try to eye it and see, and it might do okay, but I'm gonna play it on the safe side and make it 20 just to play it safe. And I'm going to just make some manual editing by adding some stones to fill in this little area right here and deleting some stones in other places as needed. So let's go ahead and release the rhinestones. Give that a minute. Once we release the rhinestones, it puts a box around all of them. So now I can edit each and every one of those circles. So I'm going to zoom in and just show you where I'm going to make my edits. Okay. So we have here, I feel like I can add a stone. So I'm going to I'm going to click and hold my Alt key on my keyboard, the ALT, the Alt key. I'm going to click and just drag with my mouse. I'm just going to drag out a stone. Okay. So again, click, hold the Alt key and drag out a stone. Click and drag. Okay. So that's a very quick way to get some stones. Click and drag. And now I'm just making just moving some stones. Okay. A lot of times, again, I like to use my arrow keys because they allow me to move incrementally where the mouse sometimes can make too big a shift and then I have to spend more time cleaning up. So I'm using my I'm using my arrow keys to just make some small movements. I'm gonna click and drag with the Alt key again. And then I tend to see if I can, now see that's a little bit that's too tight. Okay. That would probably cause a tear in the flock, trying to fit a stone into that tight of a space. Now, at least not with a SS10. I could put a SS6 hole there to fill that gap in just a little bit more. But because this is a template that I will probably offer up for sale, I try not to add SS6 stones just because most people prefer templates that have SS10s. So maybe if I were to make this for myself, I could add those SS6 stones manually when I go to press the shirt, but I'm not going to add them in this template. So I'm just going through it right now and I'm eyeing some of these stones and just seeing if they look to be too close and seeing if I can add some space in between before we send it to cut. Like right in here, it's kind of tight, but I also don't want to make too many changes because I don't want to ruin the symmetry of the line that currently is already in here. So I think that's okay. Here, I'm going to just delete that one stone just because it just throws this line off. But I'm going to leave this spacing in here only because, you know, the design itself already currently has some little spacing in it. So I'm going to leave that. Let's see, I might just delete this stone right in here. Let's see. If I do that, I'll put that back. And I may put that stone back too. So I'm just going to go ahead and do undo. Okay, so I leave that stone. I'm still looking at the pink stones that I've released and just seeing what we can do here. Didn't release those, but I will now. And let's just see, can I shift and move and do something like this and see if I can kind of get another stone in there? Or if I do that, does that, okay, okay, we did that. Now I'm over here in this R and I'm just looking to see if I shift this, can we get some more stones in here to fill up this area that's a little, sometimes adding stones can be a good thing, and then sometimes adding stones can be a bad thing. So, make your changes, zoom out, see if you like what you did. If not, just go back and undo. Undo is your friend. So again, like I said, I'm just kind of making some little spacing adjustments here. Okay. I think we're going to get rid of that stone right there. Okay, let's see what we got going on over here. I don't think we can get a stone in there. I think that's going to be too tight. It is just a little too tight. So we'll just kind of bring those over a little bit. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. I think again we can see if we can add a stone here. No, too tight. So we'll take that out. Okay, now we're over here in the L. We need to adjust this spacing right here. Okay. We don't have enough space to add any stones right in here, but we can add a stone right here and then do some move this down and over a little bit. Maybe shift that up just a little and then shift that over like this. This is okay. I think we might can get one here. Oh. So again, I'm just clicking. I'm clicking on the stone and then I'm holding my Alt key and then left clicking with my mouse in order to drag out a stone. You can also click and then right click with your mouse and then click duplicate, and that will duplicate and put out this a duplicate hole. So that's another way you can add a stone onto the design mat. Scroll down here and let's see, we might can shift this and add a stone there. like that. And okay, I think I've made all the edits to the pink. I'm gonna zoom out. Okay. I don't think I had much to do. Let's see, what do we got here? We got our daddies. Okay, let's go ahead and release the rhinestones there. We got 328 stones. I'm using a distance spacing of 20. And just kind of see if I change how that changes anything, if it makes anything look any better or worse. I made it 22 at 20, so 2, 25. Okay. Not seeing a whole lot of changes. Between 20 and 25. So I'm going to go back to 24 minute. That just makes them a little bit more dense. So I think I will leave it there. Um, actually, mm, okay, I think I'm gonna leave it here. The spacing is at 25. And I'm gonna go ahead and release these rhinestones. Okay. And I'm just gonna see about cleaning up this little, do a little bit of cleanup in here. Straighten up some stones if I can. Now this, like I said, I think I'm gonna try to do is shift. I'm gonna grab these stones right here. Maybe this one too. And I'm gonna shift these stones over a little bit and then, okay. And then I'm gonna, oh, I haven't released the scatter yet. I can. And then I'm gonna move these stones over just a little bit. And the purpose for this was so that I could move these stones in a little bit just to create that spacing, some extra spacing between these two stones right here that were kind of touching a little bit. Okay. And I can do one of two things here. I can just get rid of that and then see how that looks. That kind of opens up that space a little bit. Okay. And do I like that, or do I want to put it back and make it look like the D is a little bit off on its own? Mm, mm. Decisions, decisions. I think I'll leave it. I think I'll leave it. I'll just try to give it a little bit more space. Okay. And then this one is a little close. And like I said, you start moving one, you notice you got to move some more. That needs to come out. This probably I'm going to delete. So this needs to come out. And I am going to take these stones, I'm going to select them all. And I'm going to rotate them just a little bit. Let me group them together for a minute. And let's just see what that did when I did that. Oh, no, that changed that shape of that A. So we don't want that. So let me go back. Go back. And I'm just going to do the same thing like I did the last time over here. Maybe I'm going to grab these stones a little bit. And I just want to move it a little bit. Let me zoom out. See if that's okay. I think it is. I need to get rid of this stone right here. And then I just need to make some little adjustments there. Let's zoom back out a little bit. Take a look at that. Okay. I think I'm just grabbing these stones a little bit. I'm just going to rotate that just a little. I'm going to bring this down and then this like that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to work in this D. Just see if we can kind of make that more curved. Okay. This stone is a little bit too tight. So the same way I shifted these over here, I'm going to do the same thing with these stones. So I'm going to go ahead and select them all. I'm going to click and then holding my shift key, I'm going to grab those stones right there and I'm just going to go ahead and shift them a little bit. And I'm going to rotate them just a little like that. And then I'm going to bring these over. And then just kind of move those a little. And that gives me a little bit of space in here. Or I could take this one out, move this one up here, and then give this one a little bit more space. Zoom out, see what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to zoom back in and see if we can make that more curvy. Okay, I think that does that. So now I'm going to zoom back out again and see what I need to do with this other D. Okay, so I'm going to move this one out and we don't need that right the minute. Or maybe we can use that stone like right in here. Aha. That helps complete that curve in the A. going into the D. So I think I like that right there, like that. Come back in, zoom in. Okay. So now we were over here on this D, this part. These stones. Yes. Okay, so we're doing that. Like I said, again, we have the same issue with the D, so we're gonna grab these stones. I'm gonna select those, shift, and click on the ones that I want to move. I'm just gonna, oh, I missed one. And go back, pick up that stone, kind of shift that a little bit, and then go out. See how that's looking. Okay, that looks good. Bring that back in. All right, so now here's this Y that we were having some we were playing around with the nodes. Okay, so that's where I said sometimes you can make manual edits. So I'm just bringing that in a little like I wanted to before. And right in here was where I was having some difficulty with the Y. So I'm going to move out these stones that I think that I don't need right the moment. Okay. And thinking about how a Y, the Y needs to come. I think I want to do something like that. Right. Even if it means we can always see we can move our scatter stones. So let's see. Let's scroll out. See what's going on with this Y. So do I need this one here? Yes, we need that one there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back. Let's see, I got my curve going on in here. Okay, I think that that's good. Now we got over in here where we've got some stuff. And I think, okay, I see this probably needs to open up like that somewhat. And then we need to probably, let's see, I'm gonna move some stones right a minute, just so I can see what I got going on here, so I can see how this is shaping out. Okay, so I want to I'm trying to envision what that should look like. Okay, so that looks better. We may need to narrow it in a little bit more. So I'm going to take my stones, take the ones that I think I want, take these, and I'm gonna move these in a little, like that. And now I can bring that like that, bring that like that. Kind of line this one up with this row that's kind of going right in here. And create my own loop like that. Okay. Selected those. I'm just gonna bring those over. And because these are part of the scatter, like they don't matter as much, right? Like I don't really have to, they can kind of pretty much, they're just following the outline that I created. And can we get one? Can we get a stone in there? I think we can. Oh, let's see if I didn't mess that up too much. Mm, all right, that kind of threw that curve off a little bit. You guys can see that? You see how that curve got of kind of got away from us a little bit. And that's one of the things that can happen, like I said, when you start moving stones and such, this can happen. But the good thing about this particular design right in the moment is that I have room to shift some things out of the way to see if I can create the look that I'm looking for. So we've got this here, and where this kind of got off is right in here, because this curve doesn't look like a curve anymore. So I need to figure out how to make that look more curvish. All right, so I think if I do that, shift those stones right there like this. I'm gonna zoom in. Okay. That now I can go back and try and okay. And let's see. Get that to fit. It's gonna be a little tight, but maybe we have some spacing. It has some space right in here if I adjust some of these stones. Okay, so now that we've made those changes, let's just scroll out and look and see. Ah, that looks much better. Much better. I got my curve back in there. Okay, so now that now that I can see that that curve is where I want it, I can now just make some little manual, incremental adjustments to the spacing just to make sure that I have enough space in between these holes. Okay, and maybe line that one up a little bit. Get that back more in line with that. All right, I think that did the Y. That looked a lot better. And we got left here is this S. Zoom back out. And with this S, I'm just going to kind of I'm just going to kind of straighten up this tail a little bit. Just kind of give it a little straighten that out and scroll out. Okay, there's the S. Okay, this was a stone that I pulled out. I'm just going to move these out of the way so they don't get accidentally part of my design. Let's see what we got going on here with the apostrophe. I said that I might move that up and I made changes to that. I don't think that that made it look any better. Mm, all right. Let's see. Okay, so there's Daddy's curl. Let's turn this black for a minute. All right, so now that I look at it on the back on this black background, I can see where this spacing in here is a little bit wider than the spacing in some of the other parts of the word, right? And so I'm just going to see if I kind of just, I'm just going to shift these stones out a little bit, just make this space a little bit, see if we can just narrow that out. And this is just me, like guys, like this is just me and my process when I'm designing. I try to look at the whole design and see where I can just make it look a little bit better. Okay. And maybe it's just my eye that sees it better. Somebody else may see it differently. And I know what this is missing. This is missing some stones and from the scatter in the A to fill it. That's why it's looking like it's so much bigger than the rest of it, because the D's all have are filled in. So let's go ahead and add some stones. Go ahead and put that back. That hadn't been released yet, so I'm go ahead and release those. And I think now all of the offsets have been released. Okay, so now I can just go ahead in here and I can just add me some yellow stones. So I add one here and another one there. And can we get 3? I think we can get 3 in there. Okay, so now that does not look as wide spaced as the other ones. All right, let's scroll out. Okay, I'm not liking the way that stones are shifted in there. So I think I want to try to do like the others, just kind of put them all, these are a little bit on the curve. That just seemed to look a little bit better than it being kind of straight up and down. Roll back out, look at it. All right, I think I like that. Let's just see. Nope, put that back. All right, there we go. Now we can look at the scatter and we can just see if we want to add any stones to the scatter. And the scatter is one of those things, again, you can we're just going to randomly, I'm going to fill in, I think we can fill in this a little bit. So we'll just go and just add some stones in there. Doesn't have to be all filled in. I add a little stone up in here. Like that. I might add another stone in there like this. I think I'll leave those the way they are. I'll leave those the way they are. The stone in there. The stone right there. And I'm just, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason right now as far as this is concerned. I'm just trying to, just filling in some spaces a little bit. You don't have to do this, right? It was perfectly fine the way that it was. But it's a scatter. So, and who doesn't like more bling? Okay, I'll scroll out. And there you have it, folk. So we turned Daddy's girl. Oh, excuse me. We turned that girl into Daddy's girl. Okay. So the only thing that we need to do now is to change these white stones to be the same color as the inside pink stones were. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to my panels. I'm going to select by color. I'm going to go to the by fill. Okay, and I'm going to select the white stones. Okay, so it'll select everything that's on the mat that's white. I'm going to open up my paint palette. Okay, and I'm going to color those. Um, might not be the right color. I don't know which color we colored it. Maybe it's this one. We'll try this one first. Up. And I'm going to go turn off the line, the outline. And that obviously was not the right color. I think that one is either. But we'll go ahead and just color them that color. We can always go back to the bifill panel and color the other ones the same color so that they can be part of the same layer. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, so I'm going to do that first. And then I'm going to go back to my panels, select by color, find that color. There it is. Okay, so it selected all of the ones that was in girl when I clicked on that pinky color. And I'm going to go back to my paint palette and I'm going to select the same as the other one. Group that together. Yep, that's the same color. So now that I have both of those things selected, I'll just go ahead and select that and Daddy's. Group all of that together. I right click, I click group, and I am going to just go ahead and make that a compound path and then turn that color back. Oh, for some reason I did not catch all of that. Okay, so we have to do it again. So let me go back to my panels, select by color. And now I don't have that color selected anymore. Sugar. Okay. Well, right now my system might be in lack of resources, and so it's not giving me the colors that I just currently changed everything to. But what we would do is we would just go to our panels, we would select by fill, we would find that color, we would group it all together, and then we would right click and make a compound path. I'll go ahead and show you how I do that again with the yellow. So I think I can select the yellow. It'll select everything on the screen that is in yellow. I'm going to right click. I'm going to group it all together first. Always make sure to group. And after it has grouped everything together, then I'm going to right click and make it a compound path. It took it back to its to no color. If you want to see it with color, you can just go back to your paint palette and just color it in again. This time I'm just going to color it white, just to simulate that they might be crystal colored rhinestones with a pink interior stone. So there you go. There we took our That Girl design and we turned it into Daddy's Girl. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this. Of course, there's a lot more to this because I need to separate the layers and do all of that. But again, just another opportunity for me to create more content for you to learn how to use Silhouette Studio. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little long and I apologize. But again, I like to take you through the entire process from beginning to end in the hopes that it will help you to learn how to use the software to create designs for yourself. So if you like my video, I hope you will give me a thumbs up. And more importantly, if you're not a current subscriber to my channel, I hope that you will subscribe and help me to continue to grow. Again, if you would like to purchase this design, it will be linked in the description when I upload this video to my Etsy. And if you do, please post your finished product so that I can see what your creativity did as far as your stone color selection. But again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you learned something, and I'll be back with another tutorial soon. Talk to you later. Bye.